You've probably seen a bunch of videos claiming that video games aren't fun anymore. Many of them have hundreds of thousands, even millions of views, followed by a flood of comments expressing the same feeling. But have games really changed that much, or has our relationship with them changed over the years? And I've made my fair share of videos talking about certain issues in modern gaming, and I do believe the industry today faces some challenges. But to generalize and say that gaming is no longer fun feels like a stretch. And playing video games is a hobby, so of course there's a possibility that you might not enjoy it as much as you used to. And that's okay, it happens. But I find it hard to believe that so many people from such different age groups and backgrounds have simply lost interest in the same hobby at the same time. This recurring complaint seems to be more of a symptom than the cause of the problem. So instead of creating a practical guide on how to find fun games, I want to take a step back. Let's talk about this feeling of burnout, the hype and frustration, and the sense that video games aren't fun anymore. One of the biggest changes in our relationship with modern games is the overwhelming amount of information available about them. A recurring complaint about this lack of fun is the loss of that more naive outlook, the sense of wonder and immersion in new worlds. And a lot of that is due to the constant speculation and pre-released hype brought on by the internet and social media. When I first played GTA San Andreas, I had no idea that the game would have 3 whole different cities, or that CJ could go to the gym and even gain weight. But let's say you're really looking forward to play Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not the perfect example, but hear me out. A few generations ago, your few sources of information would be some articles in gaming magazines, maybe a brief segment on a TV show, and if you were lucky, a demo. Today, the reality is a bit different. Before the game is launched, you already have cinematic teasers, multiple trailers, and gameplay deep dives, including an overview of the playstyles of the 2 main characters. And if you want to go even further, you'll find reaction videos, trailer analysis, and hundreds of comments speculating on every detail. By the time it launches, there will certainly be first impressions videos, reviews, and unfortunately the risk of running into story spoilers. But even if you're not interested in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and not all games use a similar marketing strategy, the deep dive videos, first impressions, and even some somewhat suspicious leaks are becoming increasingly common. In the past, you knew far less about a game before playing, and you eagerly read the back of the box and the manual hoping to learn a bit more. Today, the impression is that even before we start playing, we already know more than we should. And the discoveries that once felt personal now become collective experiences. And sometimes even the trophy list gives away what's coming. This need for increasingly aggressive marketing creates this nasty cycle of inflated promises and impossible expectations. And I'm not just talking about extreme examples like Todd Howard and his Sweet Little Lies, the No Man's Sky Broken Promises, or the Killzone 2 reveal. More subtle examples also exist, such as the graphical downgrade in Forza Motorsport comparing the initial trailers to the final version of the game. And of course, trailers are marketing pieces, meticulously crafted to show the game in the best possible light and grab our interest. It's like dating apps. You certainly select your best photos and highlight your most attractive qualities. Teasers, trailers, and overviews follow the same logic. The problem is that, with so many expectations being created before launch, the more they hype it up, the harder it is for the game to live up to it. And I'm sure that no matter how good GTA 6 is, after so many years of waiting and so many expectations built up, many people will still be disappointed. And I'm not defending companies that make false promises in trailers, nor am I saying Rockstar makes those kinds of things. But the truth is, we often build up such an unrealistic expectation, fueled by trailers, leaks, and online discussions, that no matter how good the game is, it will never be able to fully live up to what we imagined. And when that happens, it's easy to think that video games are not like what they used to be. But video games aren't just about new releases, and I'm the first to say that you can and should check out older games you couldn't play at the time or that got better after updates. Now, let's say you managed to avoid overexposure, control their expectations, and found an interesting game. You finally make some time to play, and suddenly that nagging voice pops up in the back of your mind. I should be doing something useful. This is a reflection of another chapter in our current relationship with games. We live in an era obsessed with productivity. The thing is, downtime has always been important in our lives. Whether it's chatting with friends at a bar, playing video games, or gathering the family in the living room to watch TV, these moments allow us to disconnect a bit from everyday worries and recharge. But today, many people live in a relentless pursuit to optimize every minute of the day and be as productive as possible, whatever that means in practice. You need to have the next revolutionary idea, build your personal brand, and of course, become a millionaire before turning 30. Using Fight Club as a reference, the most ironic thing is that we get caught up in this endless pursuit for more and more just to buy things we don't need to impress people we couldn't care less about. And in this scenario, the idea of having fun just for the sake of having fun seems almost like a cardinal sin. Playing video games, even if it's in your free time and after you're done with work, carries a certain dose of guilt. As if instead of relaxing, you should be doing something productive. It's like we're not allowed to relax without feeling guilty, as if every unproductive minute were a personal failure. And when the main goal is to have fun, this feeling of guilt of doing something wrong just ruins the whole experience. And finally, I want to talk about one last thing that adds up to this feeling that video games aren't fun anymore: our current obsession with metrics. Today, almost everything can be measured, monitored, and quantified. Smartwatches count our steps and monitor our sleep, mobile apps track our habits, and video games themselves record hours played, achievements unlocked, and even send us annual recaps showing us exactly how much time we spent playing. For some people, it turns gaming into just another competition, whether it's with others or just with themselves. Another source of pressure to get all the achievements, max out their stats, or whatever. And honestly, I don't know which is worse. And with games becoming increasingly complex, full of things to do, many people end up getting lost in this tangle of endless side quests, collectibles, and grindy achievements. For some, if you haven't unlocked the Platinum Trophy, you haven't been productive enough. You haven't enjoyed the game as you should have. This obsession with measuring, quantifying, and comparing everything not only impacts our perception of productivity, but it's also creeping into our free time and making us feel guilty about just chilling out and playing games. And often, this behavior is justified by saying, I paid for the game, so I have to do everything it offers. But if we stop to think about it, if you bought that game with the main goal of having fun and the experience turned into something you feel like you have to do, something you need to justify financially, maybe it wasn't a good purchase after all. So how do we break out of this cycle? The first step is to allow yourself to play for the simple pleasure of playing. Forget the metrics, what certain YouTubers or IGN said about that game, or what others will think. Play because you enjoy it. I won't go so far as to say that playing is some kind of transcendental meditation that needs a ritual to get into the right frame of mind. But the truth is that your attitude and how you approach the experience will directly influence how much you enjoy it. Now, the problem doesn't lie in trying to be productive, but rather in this relentless pressure that makes us feel guilty for not constantly achieving something, to the point where we can't enjoy our free time anymore. And our free time is a precious resource. Spending it on something we enjoy, stepping away from the everyday worries, is a pretty good way to use it. The key is balance, and I know it's easier said than done. We all have things to do, and often it seems like we're never doing enough. And of course, being productive is important. Otherwise, how would we be able to afford all the games? But when this overexposure, this uncontrolled hype, and this obsessive pursuit of productivity start to turn something you loved into something you hate, it becomes clear that something is wrong. Video games have always been a constant in my life, and considering that most of my audience is around my age, I imagine the same applies to many of you. They've helped me through difficult times, created fond memories with friends and family members who are no longer here, and continue to be a way to explore different worlds, have fun, and now even to annoy others on YouTube with my random thoughts. And even in the unlikely scenario that new games stopped being released, I would still have hundreds of excellent older games to discover or favorites to revisit. With all that said, let me reinforce my point. Allow yourself to enjoy games without feeling guilty for it. If something is no longer fun, change the game or move on to something else. And this goes way beyond video games. Think about all the hobbies you've lost interest in because they're not fun anymore. Maybe they really aren't for you anymore, or maybe this need to be productive all the time has taken all the fun out of it. And don't get me wrong, checking out game reviews before buying them, following your favorite franchises, and trying to be productive are positive attitudes. But everything in life has its time, its place, and its point of balance. I know this video isn't a practical guide to find perfect games or anything like that, and if you guys are interested, I can make another video more focused on practical steps to find games that actually interest you. But it's a topic that I've been thinking about lately, and I'd love to know what you guys think about it in the comments. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.